so mad. You can tell he's so mad. The fact that he went and did this. He is so mad. I love it.
Vauban Deluxe was shown again, but a moment of silence for Mr. Rahetalius, as the only thing they mentioned about Vauban getting his abilities dusted off was a single line. You can charge his balls now, so they do more damage and have an increased proc chance. So, I'm gonna press F in the chat on that one.
So, get rid of the stupid bug with Bastille, leave Vortex alone, and boom. There you have it. Vauban's been made great again. Rahetalius can sleep easy now.
I wish I could. I really do. However, that implies Vauban's not a shit Warframe. This isn't a joke. This is me being completely and absolutely serious. This is a little bit hard for me to admit, but I'll just say it. Vauban is the worst Warframe in the game, even when you take Nyx into account. I know, it feels like blasphemy when I of all people make that statement, but this is a truth that even a die-hard Vauban main such as myself cannot ignore. The fact of the matter is that while Warframe has aged beautifully over the past few years, Vauban unfortunately has not. Here's a question I have for you, the person watching this video. Name one thing that Vauban can do that another Warframe can't do better. No memes. No boob in his life herder bullshit. I want a real and legitimate answer. His identity as Space Batman has been slowly but surely overpowered by newer and better Warframes that offer more to players than Vauban's pure CC arsenal. With every passing update and Warframe that comes with better and better CC, Vauban gets closer and closer to becoming about as relevant as ever. On paper, having nothing but crowd control to play around with sounds versatile as hell, but in Vauban's case, it's nothing but a hodgepodge of trash. Tesla has always been one of the weakest parts of Vauban's design, and for good reason. After all, what's the point of using an ability that only becomes marginally useful when charged up at the cost of additional energy? What's the point of using an ability that affects only one enemy at a time meanwhile all your other abilities affect multiple enemies? What's the point of using an ability that deals damage so low that not even a full power strength build can save it? Arc traps are a better Tesla than Tesla, which is nothing short of pathetic, because that means that an in-game environmental object is more of an actual threat than a Warframe ability. Mind Layer is nothing more than a bad copy-paste of Ivara's Quiver, but with abilities that are so expensive and so underwhelming that there's no reason to use them when you already have Bastille and Vortex. Out of the four options, Concuss is the only one that has somewhat practical use. Even if it applies a very short-lasting stun, it still comes with an area of effect radiation proc, which is something that is used less frequently than it should be. Bounce is by far the most useless ability in the game. Bounce used to only be good for repelling enemies off interception terminals because bullet jumping made Bounce completely useless as a movement ability. Now ever since the Tesla buffs, Bounce isn't even good for interception anymore. Let me also say that it's a fun ability is not and has never been a valid excuse to keep a trash ability. Excalibur's super jump was removed so Exalted Blade could be added, and nobody gave a shit because it made him a much better Warframe. Yet for some reason, the moment anybody mentions that the same should be done to Vauban, people cry out to keep Bounce because it's fun, as if that's a legitimate argument to take up a slot that could otherwise be used by a better ability. And by the way, do you know that Distant Observer video that was made featuring Bounce? That got patched ages ago, so don't even bother trying to use that video as an excuse to keep Bounce anymore. Shred is literally only useful when high power strength is being used. Otherwise, the debuff is too low to make any actual use of it. No, I'm not joking. If you're not playing with at least 240% power strength, don't even look at Shred. Triple Laser meanwhile is so situational that I'm not even going to devote time to talk about it. for Bastille and Vortex. Those two abilities used to be the only two things keeping Vauban somewhat relevant in the game. I say used to because Kaura's Strangle Dome and Entangle are both respectively and literally a better version of Bastille and Vortex. If there's anything that we're certainly familiar with, it's taking pre-existing content, buffing and changing its look, and adding it to the game as brand new content. For weapons, I couldn't care less. High-tier weapons are easily replaceable, because of how frequently they come out compared to Warframes, not to mention that all it takes to shift the meta is for that one new weapon to have higher base damage than the previous meta equipment. For Warframes, it's unacceptable. If there's anything that the Limbo rework has taught us, it's that bad Warframes don't stay bad forever. Reworks are how the players are ensured that Warframes will remain somewhat good. But if there's also anything that the Zephyr and Oberon reworks have taught us, it's that not all reworks will fix a Warframe. However, we as the community are here to provide feedback for DE to use in their efforts of reworking Warframes, even if we're not always listened to. In the case of Vauban, I've been sending feedback for years now, and what do I have to show for it? Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Oftentimes I wonder why I even keep spending time putting together rework inputs, buff suggestions, or even videos when I don't get a single shred of acknowledgement from DE about Vauban. Oh but sure, DE acknowledges that the community has been asking for a Vauban rework, but have they delivered? No. Nizla got a rework even though he wasn't the Warframe that DE announced changes for End of Stream 114. Atlas got a rework because nobody played him, even though Vauban has been on that boat for ages. Even Zephyr out of all Warframes got an actual fucking rework along with her Prime, and still nobody plays her. And what has Vauban gotten in the past 4 years? A better passive, a buff to Tesla and repelling Bastille, and a metacore at best quiver knockoff. At least we're making progress compared to Nyx, I guess. Even knowing that Zephyr is in the game, I will argue that Vauban is the worst Warframe in the game because he's the prime example of what happens when you do nothing to counter the ever-present power creep in Warframe. Vauban is an old, weak, unpopular, irrelevant, and pointless piece of shit that honestly would be better off just being removed from the game because even I don't think DE truly cares about giving him the rework he deserves. Nidus has the better version of Vortex. Volt has the better version of Tesla. Kara has the better version of Bastille. Ivara has the better version of Mine Layer. And yet even with all of that in mind, I couldn't give a fuck about any of those mentioned Warframes. Why is that, exactly? I could tell you that it's because I find the idea of playing an underpowered and out-of-meta Warframe to be an enjoyable challenge, but that's not true at all. I could tell you that it's because I've been playing Vauban for so long that now I find all other Warframes to be trash by comparison, but that's not true either. I could even tell you that it's because Vauban is the only Warframe I know how to play, but that's certainly not true. The reason why I keep playing Vauban is the same reason as to why people play Wukong. I just like him. I don't touch healers or support frames because I play alone 90% of the time. I don't care about tank frames because I have no need for damage reduction. I don't like Loki or DPS frames because I find playing them to be fucking boring. Even though Vauban is literally a downgrade of a Warframe, I find myself playing him for hours and hours on end, purely because I'm just a fucking nerd that really likes playing Vauban, even with his numerous flaws in mind. Nothing more. Thank you for watching.